In the incredibly complex world of pharmaceuticals, how do you make sure a brilliant, life-changing medicine actually gets to the patient who needs it most? It's a journey, right? But that journey is absolutely filled with potential breaking points. Today, we're going to dig into a framework that's all about building a seamless, unbreakable path from the manufacturer all the way to the patient. And welcome. We're all about one thing here: connecting that high-level strategy to the actual point of purchase. It doesn't matter if it's in consumer goods, services, or retail. So let's jump in and explore how the route-to-shopper methodology really makes that connection happen, specifically in the very demanding pharma sector. All right, here's our roadmap for this session. We'll kick things off with the big idea, the core concept behind this whole approach. Then we are going to unpack its engine, what we call the Guide Paths Framework, and see how it gets applied in the unique world of pharma. We'll see it in action, connected to some real-world results, and then I'm going to hand it over to you for a moment to think about how this all fits into your world. So, let's get right to the heart of it. The entire methodology is built around this one really powerful idea: unlocking what's called integrated value. Okay, so what on earth does that actually mean? Let's break it down. I want you to think of it like a relay race. The manufacturer, they have the baton. That's the strategy, the product, the promise they're making to patients. But that baton has to be passed flawlessly to the distributor, then to the pharmacy or the hospital, and finally into the patient's hands. Integrated value creation simply means making sure that at every single one of those handoffs, the experience stays perfectly consistent. The patient is the finish line, and everybody has to be running in lockstep in the exact same direction. So, how do we actually get everyone running in the same direction? Well, that's where the Guide Paths Framework comes in. This is the engine that drives the whole process. And honestly, the best way to think about it is as two sides of the very same coin, designed to work in perfect harmony. You see, this framework is the practical system that turns that idea of integrated value into a reality. It's not just some high-level theory. It's built on two very distinct but deeply connected playbooks: Guide, which is for the manufacturer, and Paths, which is the playbook for the channel partner. Like a pharmacy or a hospital. Let's zoom in on that for a second. Guide is the manufacturer's game plan. It's all about asking, how does our brand strategy win with patients? It's the what and the why. Paths, on the other hand, is the pharmacy's or the hospital's execution manual. It's asking, how do we deliver on that promise perfectly right here in our environment? That's all about the how. So what's actually inside the Guide playbook? Well, it's basically the manufacturer's checklist for success. For example, G is for growing the patient base, which isn't just about finding new patients, but keeping them through things like adherence programs. And I is for increasing purchase cycles, which really means making that refill process as simple and supportive as it can possibly be. It's a strategic map for creating value. And then on the flip side, you've got Paths, the channel partner's execution manual. P for presentation excellence. That could be as simple as making sure a critical medication is always in stock and easy to find. T for team engagement is huge. It's about making sure the pharmacist is trained and feels empowered to answer a patient's questions with real confidence and empathy. This is how that big strategy is brought to life flawlessly. Okay, so while these principles are pretty universal, their application is where the magic really happens. So let's pivot and focus specifically on the pharmaceutical sector. And we have to do this because in pharma, the shopper isn't just wandering down an aisle browsing shelves. Their journey is shaped by this incredibly complex ecosystem of pharmacies, hospitals, distributors, and most importantly, it involves a key influencer who you don't find in most retail spots: the healthcare provider. And here's what that journey often looks like. It all starts with awareness and getting a diagnosis. Then it moves through that critical consultation with a provider, getting the prescription, and choosing a pharmacy. But listen, it does not end at the purchase, not at all. The real long-term value for everyone lies in adherence and making that refill journey seamless. You can see there are so many stages where value can either be created or totally lost. So at each step of that journey, different value levers come into play. For the manufacturer, the really big ones are things like proving clinical efficacy and offering amazing patient support programs. For the pharmacy, though, it's all about the human touch. The quality of that pharmacist's counseling, total accuracy in dispensing, and just making sure the medicine is accessible. Okay, so we've got the manufacturer's plan and the channel partner's actions. Now let's see how this framework actually builds a bridge between the two. This is where all that theory becomes real-world practice. This slide right here, this is key. It shows what we call strategic symmetry. Just look at how every single module in the manufacturer's guide playbook has a direct mirror image counterpart in the channel's paths framework. It's incredible. When a manufacturer focuses on key account management, the pharmacy has a process for joint business planning. When the manufacturer is gathering patient insights, the pharmacy team is trained in shopper observation. This perfect alignment ensures nothing gets lost in translation. Look, at the end of the day, this is all about driving measurable results. So let's talk about how this integrated approach connects that strategic intent to actual real-world impact. This is the payoff. This is where the rubber meets the road. Together, Guide and Paths connect strategy directly to the pharmacy counter, turning a brand's intention into a tangible impact for the patient. And that integrated approach, it drives powerful collaboration, executional excellence, and real, measurable commercial results. So what does that look like in the real world? Well, just imagine a manufacturer's patient support app that sends helpful refill reminders. Now imagine that's perfectly aligned with a pharmacy's proactive patient counseling program. That kind of synergy, it can lead to a really significant lift in patient adherence. Now, I should say that a number like a 20% increase is just illustrative for our training purposes today, but it shows you just how powerful this aligned execution can be. Think about it visually for a moment. Before this kind of integration, execution can be all over the place, right? You might have a fantastic experience in one pharmacy and a really poor one in another. But by aligning Guide and Paths, you create executional consistency. And what that means is that the promise the brand is making is actually what the patient experiences every single time in every single location. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. But, all of this is just theory until you start thinking about how it could apply to your world. So let's take just a moment for that. Just take a second to really consider this. It doesn't matter if you're on the manufacturer's side or the channel partner side. How could this kind of symmetrical thinking change the way you plan, how you collaborate, and most importantly, how you deliver real value to your patients? Thank you so much for your engagement today. We really hope this has sparked some new ideas for you. For more details on any of the individual modules within the Guide and Paths frameworks, or for custom creation, please do get in touch with us. Best wishes and goodbye from all of us here at the Commercial Excellence Academy by Asbiverse Group.